is the driving force behind the special pollution incident affecting the entire two-satellite city. It has not yet been determined if he used some kind of contamination. It's still about the development of one's own abilities. But it can be proven. This person's mental capacity is much higher than that of ordinary ability users. Because Lu Xing was recruited not long ago, even the basic training has not been completed. I also lack experience in dealing with ability users. Chen Jin believes that going out to chase them would be very dangerous. Lu Xing fell silent for a moment after listening. I'd indeed have no experience in battling other ability users. But they probably don't have experience dealing with me either. Chen Jin's expression tightened slightly after listening. Tell me, you want to go out and pursue them for the real reason. Lu Xing gazed out the window at the red moon hanging in the sky. Didn't you say that? No matter who it is, one must pay the price for their wrongdoings. The entire riot scene ends here. The chapter outside the city is about to begin. The plot begins to enter the main storyline. Father Yi's prisoner officially makes an appearance. The monarch will eventually descend again under the red moon. Lu Xing's righteous statement. The atmosphere in the conference room became a bit strange. Chen Jin, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly asked Lu Xing if he had heard about the bounty. Countless gazes suddenly turned to Chen Jin. I wish to speak on such an important topic. What's the point of offering a reward for such a trivial matter? Chen Jin's inquiry made Lu Xing a bit flustered. Immediately provide a reasonable and strong explanation. Only added quietly at the end. Bounty and such. Isn't that something to discuss later? Hearing the change in Lu Xing's voice, Chen Jin's heart was finally at ease. Mr. Su smiled and nodded at this moment. Finally, Chen Jin approved this application. He asked Lu Xing to provide a rough date, and stated that it is a necessary process for the job. It might take 10 days. Little did they know that these words took Chen Jin by surprise. Thought I had more. Lu Xing hurriedly explained that he was mainly unfamiliar with the intersection outside the city, worried about wasting time while tracking. Little did he know his answer. The people in the conference room gasped in silence. Chen Jin asked Lu Xing to wait for him for a moment. Then I hung up the phone. The people in the conference room immediately began to discuss among themselves. In just 10 days, pursue and eliminate 3 abilities users. Does he usually boast this much? In the face of these doubts, Chen Jin only responded that he had never seen him talk big. The people in the conference room looked at Professor Bai with a mix of tension and anticipation. Chen Jin's comment is, outside the city, it can't compare to our tall walls. Have you eaten? Everyone wants to hide in the city. You actually took the initiative to run out. Lu Xing was somewhat stunned by the gecko's words. The phone in his hand rang again at that moment. Chen Jin mentioned their conference will convene, this time out of this city. Treat it as a special operation mission. The task level is defined as level 1. In addition to the necessary transportation tools and information support, he arranged 2 investigation teams and a logistics team for Lu Xing. Before finishing, Lu Xing interrupted. No need. The team members you mentioned do not need to be arranged. Watching the gecko by the window, whistling a rogue's tune. Lu Xing thought for a moment. Tell Chen Jin that he only needs a driver. He hoped to have a high-performance car, 10 days' worth of food and water, and a driver who is familiar and capable of self-protection, although not a single sentence mentions the gecko. But every sentence hints at the gecko. Chen Jin would understand. Directly ask him if the driver is a gecko. Yes, it's him. Lu Xing also did not deny it. The gecko, focused intently on the beautiful woman by the window, suddenly turned its head. "Is the gecko right beside us listening?" Chen Jin's voice seemed to carry a hint of laughter. He rushed over and shouted into the phone. "What do you mean by just letting me prepare directly? Did I agree? Did you forget to ask for my opinion?" But the phone on the other end had already hung up. Lu Xing comforted him. "Haven't you always wanted to come to my house and do your homework? Isn't this just perfect? The gecko is still putting up a stubborn resistance over here. He expressed his reason for agreeing to be recruited. It's to make some money. In the future, I will marry 3 wives. That here to die." What he overheard during his childhood, telling Lu Xing everything without omission. "Jeej, that guy is on the phone. Looks very scared. He is talking bad about you now. Should I take care of him?" Several people have already changed on the other end of the phone. Some are lecturing him on grand principles. Some seem to be threatening him. But this guy won't budge, no matter what. No matter what, I will never jump down from the 4th floor. Finally, the promise of the gecko astonished. "If I can cooperate with Lu Xing to complete the mission, when he returns, arrange a training task for him in the main city. At that time, Tai Kui will also go." The gecko readily agreed, walking towards Lu Xing with a joyful heart. "The headquarters has already made a decision. Let's form a special operations team together. I am the vice captain. You are the captain. Departure is expected in half an hour." What the gecko didn't know was the title of this squad's vice captain. This will be the capital he can boast about for a lifetime. Ziokai pointed at the gecko beside him. "This person is also coming with us. Can we treat him like a toy?" Lu Xing gently persuaded his sister. "The first important principle of our outing this time. Just don't hurt him. At the very least, try not to hurt him." Lu Xing reached out to touch the air, which was about knee-high. The gecko's eyes were almost crossed. "Brother, I may not know who you are talking to. However, try to keep this sentence. Are you serious? Preparation work of the Special Operations Unit. Thinking about the list." The supplies were so plentiful that even Lu Xing was surprised. In addition to survival supplies, various types of weapons and currency, and 3 serious magazines for entertaining my girlfriends. What excites the gecko the most is this car. He immediately recognized this as a military-grade off-road Hanma specially modified by the research team. High chassis, but V10 naturally aspirated engine, plus add bulletproof glass. Heavy 6-barrel rotary machine gun. This damn steel giant. The gecko even believed it could fly. After packing the supplies, the 2 of them got into the car. Lu Xing asked the gecko if it needed to go home and inform its family. This is how I learned that the gecko doesn't care about me at all. No one would care about him except Linda. Just leave the city directly. Lu Xing allowed the gecko to leave the city before. "First, let's go to the moon platform. Go pick up his family. The light of the red moon spreads across this land." The old building still only had one household with the lights on. The car quickly drove down to the ground floor. "Mom has been waiting here for a long time." The gecko hesitantly asked Lu Xing if he needed to go upstairs to check. Help carry some luggage or something. Lu Xing smiled as he looked at the gecko. "No need. They have already gotten in the car. We can go now." Quietly started the car. Driving halfway, he couldn't help but start talking. "Hello, uncle, aunt, and younger sister. My name is Gecko. He is a good friend of Danbing. Nice to meet you. I believe you all know me and should be quite happy, right?" You're welcome." Lu Xing was startled by this. Mingaming cannot be seen. Still trying to chat with the family. This is truly the first one. Mom smiled gracefully without saying a word. The young man is quite good. It's just that there's a bit too much talk. Should we consider having my sister sew his mouth shut? Crossing the iron chain bridge. The car drove out of Satellite City No. 2. Zayo Shiki sat on the roof of the car, looking excited. Leaving the city. Beyond the high walls is a chaotic wilderness. There are many madmen and wanderers roaming outside the city. Lu Xing, who grew up in Satellite City No. 2. He set foot on his journey out of the city for the first time. The gecko in charge of driving. The whole way I was chatting with Lu Xing's family. Let me guess. Now the uncle is definitely sitting on the left side of the back seat. Aunt is sitting on the right. The adorable little sister is sitting in the middle, right? You guessed wrong. Watching the anxious gecko. Lu Xing did not tell him. Father could no longer endure the dullness and misery of the journey. Now not in the car. Looking at the information provided by the City Defense Department. There aren't many useful aspects. The City Defense Department's tracking can actually be considered a failure. Data shows 2 agents have tracked down lovers staying in an abandoned high-rise. After that, the agent lost contact and their fate became uncertain. Now the investigation team can only track down the abandoned town. Lu Xing suggested going to take a look first. At the same time, check if the investigation team has any new clues. They have been on the run for an entire day. If you want to catch up, we need to maintain a very high speed. The gecko chuckled darkly after hearing this, eager to show off in front of Lu Xing. Brothers, watch closely. We, the people of the Spider Clan. When I touched something I could control. How fierce is it, really? He just pushed down the gear shift. With the roar of the accelerator pressed down. A sound of theft. The engine roared like a beast. Sudden acceleration and skidding. On the roof of the car, the little stone tool, singing a tune, was also flung out. The road is difficult to traverse with its potholes and uneven terrain. Under the agile control of the gecko, the vehicle continued to maintain an unusually smooth and rapid pace. Like flying at high speed. Lu Xing, who is too late to express his emotions. I saw my angry younger sister chasing after me in the rearview mirror. Damn it, damn it. The rushing little stone tool's eyes were already clouded. A look that could tear a gecko apart. The car takes only 20 minutes. We have reached the abandoned town 30 miles outside Qingang City, once towering buildings, now overgrown with wild grass. At a glance, it gives a feeling of anxiety and eeriness. Just stop the car. 2 armed soldiers ran out. Take out a document and hand it to the gecko. Obey the orders of the Ministry of Defense. Sharing timely intelligence with you. They arrived here at 4 a.m. this morning. We lost contact with those 2 agents. Preliminary investigation. It can be confirmed that the other parties stay in the high building for at least half an hour. After examining the tire marks left around and the road conditions, it can be confirmed that the other party is a deceitful little teen, owns 5 motorcycles and 1 off-road vehicle, escaped to the south, due to the complex terrain, currently unable to determine its accurate route. The gecko furrowed its brow, looking at the limited information it had in hand. It will be hard to find someone. At that moment, Mom in the back seat suddenly spoke up. She pointed in a direction to Lu Xing. Walked down the road to the left, facing Lu Xing's puzzled expression. Mother just smiled elegantly. Since we are going to visit the guests, how can you not even know where the guests are? At that time, they wanted to see you. I also saw them. Lu Xing quietly took out a small notebook. Record the people that Mom can track and has seen. She repeated what her mother pointed out to the gecko. The gecko stared in surprise. "Brother, do you still understand trekking and investigation?" "I don't understand, but I have family to help me," Lu Xing's teacher replied. "Let the mother in the back seat show a happy expression as well." The off-road vehicle roared fiercely, racing swiftly along this rugged road. Every time it's a crucial moment, Mom always points the way. This speed has been maintained for over 2 hours. Still no trace of them has been found. It is clear that the other party succeeded. Decide to flee immediately. Not a moment's pause. The gecko determined this. The other party is not the night order around them. The nights around Qingdao, gathering points and activity zones. Basically, everything is in their hands. And these few people kept walking out. They explained that their base is not nearby. The gecko suspects it is very likely that other high-level employers hire them. Also hummed a song in the car. Unaware if it was the song's voice, it's still the sound of the engine that attracts. A decayed madman suddenly rushed over. The red light reveals a sense of madness. But facing the iron giant hand, just a whoosh. The body that was crushed scattered in an instant. Lu Xing could really not take it anymore, curiously asking him why he keeps singing. "Because you don't chat with me anymore. Singing refreshes me," thinking that the gecko has also been driving for several hours. Lu Xing kindly wanted to open it for him. Who would have thought that the survival-driven gecko would flatly refuse? He fears he will become worthless, will be awkwardly dismissed by Lu Xing's family. Suddenly, a scent wafted in from behind the car, slowly revealing an excited expression. Sighing, the little head fixed its gaze out the window. Her eyes suddenly lit up. At that moment, the gecko covered its mouth. "What is this smell?" A strong smell of blood wafted in from outside the car. Mom smiled gently. "I found it. Right there." The gecko directed the car's headlights towards the source of the bloody smell, then got off the car with Lu Xing. At first, it was suspected to be the sound of wild dogs. The gecko raised its hand and fired a shot into the wild grass. With the sound of a gunshot, a rustle stirred in the wild grass. I can faintly feel many vigilant gazes, staring fiercely at them. The gecko frowned and reminded Lu Xing to be more cautious. The wilderness has everything. Yet Lu Xing remained as calm as ever, facing the unknown fears lurking in the tall weeds. His face still wore a calm expression. The gecko left him feeling a haze of confusion in his heart. This made him seem more like a novice. The two of them clear the wild grass. The wild dogs around them stared intently at them. The smell of blood comes from the scattered flesh on the ground. It is internal organs. It should be the internal organs of a person. And it's not just one. Methods used by puppet masters to create and modify people. It's truly terrifying. Lu Xing and Bai Hu arrived with the scent of blood, saw the intestines of a person abandoned on the ground. What puzzled him was, only internal organs surrounded me, with no other limbs in sight. Lu Xing immediately thought of the puppet master from the Knightly Order. His signature move is controlling and transforming minds. The organs on the ground were left behind from the creation of the modified humans. From the inspection report previously provided by the Research Institute. Those who have undergone transformations, preserving only the brain and heart. The rest were all picked. This time he lost many modified humans in City No. 2. So he needs to fill the gap. This is a special fabric that can only be found within these high walls. Lu Xing had already found the answer in her heart. He allows the gecko to conspire with the main city. The two missing agents have been found. Looking at the bright red ruins, Lu Xingdun felt oppressed. We are all on the same side. Take them back. Burial on site will be dug up by nearby wild animals." The gecko was taken aback after hearing this. The two of them looked at each other. "I see you." In the end, it was Lu Xing who spoke first. He deliberately highlighted the differences in their positions. Then, as the captain, "Command Gecko, the deputy captain, to gather the agent's entrails." The helpless Gecko with a closed face. Enduring in silence does not mean executing the order. After being sheltered well, "In the end, I couldn't help but lean against the car and throw up." Waiting for the Gecko to vomit, Lu Xing looked up towards the distance. "It should be around there, right." The mother in the car smiled in that direction as well. The Gecko sprawled on the driver's seat. Some weakly asked Lu Xing. He really couldn't figure out how Lu Xing found these two colleagues. Lu Xing pointed towards the pitch black ahead. "I not only found my colleagues. Those people should be nearby." At first, the Gecko was a bit skeptical, until the wilderness map was opened. He couldn't help but admire Lu Xing. "Brother, are you a spider type or a fortune-telling type?" Following the direction pointed out by Lu Xing, the Gecko saw a red-marked area on the map. "This is Heishui town." His tone also became serious. "If those people are really hiding in Heishui town, it's a bit troublesome. Heishui town is a relatively large gathering place for wanderers around Qingdao. It is also one of the largest black markets in the area. At the onset of the disaster, there used to be many oil depots there. It should have been sold out by now, but the fame still remains. It has become a place for many people to exchange goods. If the nightly order runs there, then we need to make the necessary preparations. The armed forces of this broken place. It might soon rival our patrol army." Bihu detailed the introduction of Heishui town to Lu Xing. "People there appear on the surface, will obey and cooperate with Gao Chang's orders. But in reality, many city dwellers or convoys have been silently eliminated by them. Moreover, there are only two of them. The supplies in the vehicle are abundant. In their eyes, this is definitely a spoiled lamb, although the name Qingdao carries a certain intimidation. However, to be safe, the Gecko decided to report to headquarters. Soon, the administrative office received the report from the Gecko. The two missing agents have been found. They have already sacrificed. Suspicions arise that the knights have entered Heishui town. We are now ready to begin the investigation. If there is no report in 3 hours, something went wrong." Qingdao immediately held an emergency meeting after receiving the report. Everyone at the scene was shocked. It's been less than a day since the soldiers went out. Moreover, it was done with almost no intelligence support. This completely overturned their common sense regarding Lu Xing's abilities. The Research Institute has been unable to make an accurate determination. Heishui town is at least 700 kilometers away from Qingdao City, and the individual soldier arrived at that place in just 1 day. He only meant to go there from the very beginning. They speculate that Lu Xing either knows the knights are in Heishui town, either it's what he guessed. The professors explain why Lu Xing went to Heishui town through analysis. The knights entered the wilderness. Wuji is a big problem, so they will definitely go to a suitably located lakeside. Only Heishui town in Qingdao South meets this condition. There is a puppetry ability user among them. In the first stage, a puppet master can control up to 10 modified humans. 6 were destroyed when ambushing Chen Jin and Lu Xing. Later, they found 3 more under the south wall. This can be confirmed. The mental modifier next to that puppet master has nearly run out of energy. If supplies are needed, only the labor market in Heishui town can meet all their conditions, although it can be explained through speculation. but still vaguely felt that Lu Xing was meant to go there from the beginning. Minister Shen decisively ordered, "Let the task force immediately head to the outskirts of Blackwater town and stand by 10 miles away. When necessary, the use of ultra-long-range plasma weapons is permitted. Directly flatten Heishui town." The red moonlight enveloped the entire wilderness. The off-road vehicle drove into the brightly lit town. A row of fences stands in front of the rust-covered gate. The guard company vigilantly watched their surroundings. The gecko presented its pass. "Excuse me, I was searching for something. Come over and take a break." The guard looked at the two clean geckos. "It's not like searching for something lost." The gecko knocked hard on the car door. "We are explorers searching the wilderness. It's not like we're lost in the wilderness." "How? You have to roll in the mud to get in." The guard saw the gecko looking completely unfazed. No longer asking. "Old rules. You can enter the town, but can only carry a handgun. There are 2 options for parking. Stopping in the town for 100 years, men die. If you stop talking outside, no one will care if something happens. No responsibility assumed." The gecko deliberately pulled out a gun and tapped it twice on the door. "Park the car inside. Avoid getting your tires taken off." The guard finally smiled. "Let them open the iron gate and lead them inside. Will it be safe to stop here?" Mom and my sister had also gotten off the car by now. Her gaze seemed to pierce through the walls and see inside. "You need to be ready. The little stone tool with gleaming eyes is already full of new spirit." Mom smiled and looked at Lu Xing. "It's very close now. This is a story that unfolds after the arrival of the Hong Yu, a town without legal constraints. As long as there is money, you can buy all kinds of goods you want. Young female slave or strong laborer, everything is clearly priced here." Lu Xing and his group are tracking the night order. Arrived at the labor market in Heishui town. On the road, I saw an injured person pushing sales of firearms suitable for the festival, used as a tool for making money in the tank. A happily made-up woman is smoking a cigarette. Speak to the passers-by on the street. Try it. Service is excellent. The slender young man beside him, also shouting to give it a try, delivering the fruit platter. Lu Xing asked the gecko, feeling a bit embarrassed, "What is this for?" The gecko forcefully suppresses the desire to experience. Casually mention the legitimate business operator. "Sell him out." The two are discussing how to find the members of the Knight's Order later, how to handle it according to the rules. According to the information mastered by the gecko, "I think we should inform a guy called Shi first. He is the boss of Heishui town, has considerable business dealings with Qingdao. In the dark, I will cooperate with them." But the gecko was also unsure. After all, these people only care about money, if they have a certain collusion with those who have abilities. This might alert the snake while disturbing the grass. Lu Xing looked at his mother's figure in the distance. "The final decision is to find them first before anything else. Ein Herr." Mom smiled and turned her head back. He pointed to a location towards Lu Xing. "It is a chess and card room." Lu Xing immediately called on Bai Hu to go in and take a look. As soon as I entered the hall, I saw a young girl in a bikini, walking with drinks in the chess room. Various noisy sounds filled the eardrums. At this moment Mom was standing at the door of the innermost room. This is the place where the gecko usually likes to stay. But this time there was no playful smile as before. He tensed up and confirmed with Lu Xing if this was the place. "Do you need to customize any plans?" Mom's face still wore a smile. Yao Yi pointed to the closed room beside her. Lu Xing instantly understood what his mother meant. The night order that caused so many deaths in Qingdao. It's likely right behind this door. No need to make plans anymore." He kicked the door open with one swift move. An unexpected scene appeared. The people playing cards in the room were momentarily taken aback. Losing burst through the door and scanned them all. Finally, they locked onto the man in the red suit who was holding up the sign. Losing just looked at him. A smile immediately appeared on his face. "You finish playing this card first." "I am not in a hurry." One of the burly men suddenly showed a fierce expression. "Perhaps it's because of losing money." Directly yelled at the kind-looking Losing. "Who let you in?" "I don't know if the guys are playing cards right now," while scolding loudly, reaching to draw the gun tucked at his waist. The gecko trailing behind Losing was already poised to spring. The man hadn't had a chance to raise his gun yet. A cold dagger had unknowingly turned red at his throat. The irritable man was instantly stopped. The gecko quickly drew a gun at the others in the room. The handsome one asked which one Losing was. "Or are these people all?" A look as if ready to pull the trigger at any moment. Losing did not respond. The gaze is still fixed on the red suit in front. No need for Mom to point it out. I can recognize that the one in front of me is one of the targets this time, because his smile felt familiar to Losing. 3 shoulders. I won, facing Losing's gaze. The man in the red suit smiled as he laid down the cards he was holding. Then look at the gecko in front and Losing. With a smiling tone, I ask, "Who are you?" Losing knew that the person in the red suit recognized him. "So I don't really want to answer this question. I am here to take you back. You'd better not resist, because I plan to take you back alive, only received by the divine. I'll kill you after you're convicted. It will seem to have more meaning, but because I have no experience in combat with ability users. I'm worried about when I catch you. You have already become a dead person." After hearing this, the smile in the red suit grew even brighter. No wonder the boss is so petty. 2 hands slowly reached out. It was as if he wanted Losing to put on the gloves for him. The calm surface hides deadly dangers. The 2 people sitting next to the man in the red suit. Suddenly, they all drew their guns at the same time. They each pointed insidiously at the gecko and Losing. The gecko calmly waved the gun in his hand. 2 loud sounds quickly rang out. A single shot struck a person in the forehead. A shot hit a person's shoulder. When I thought the situation had stabilized, the red suit suddenly burst into laughter. He quickly flicked his fingers. The red spiritual lines seemed to connect something. The gecko sensed something was off immediately. Only those 2 heavily armed individuals lay collapsed on the ground. Suddenly opened his eyes. Acted at an extremely fast speed, watching the strange movements of the red suit. The 2 men who remained unscathed after the heavy gunfire. The gecko immediately shouted a reminder to Losing. This is a cybernetic enhancement. He appears harmless. When it comes to fighting, it always leaves people outraged. So far, he has given up. She is still the weakest sister in the family, the man who was supposed to die from a bullet wound. Under the control of the red suit, they rose with a strange force and started to operate the white machine with these 2 almost immortal cybernetic beings. Losing quickly recalled the puppet-related materials he had seen before. This ability allows one to control others' actions through mental threads. The weakness of the mind-controlled puppet is to destroy its spine. The weakness of puppeteers. Just directly approach the essence and destroy its will. "Brother, I'm here," following closely beside the little stone tool. How could we miss such a fun time? Dalai made Losing's movements instantly become extremely sharp. The bullet seemed to move at an excruciatingly slow pace in his eyes. Her figure was like a whirlwind passing by. A swift kick forward. kicked towards the emotionless cyborg holding a gun. He inserted a sound. Losing gently stepped on his elbow. The distorted sounds of flesh intertwining echoed in his arms. The fallen spiritual reformer felt no pain or reaction like an ordinary person. Still want to lift my leg and roll towards Lu Xing's feet, but was easily dodged by the agile Lu Xing. She swiftly turned and lifted his leg. A chilling smile slowly appeared on his face. His body was like a bow, pinned down on the ground, unable to move. As Lu Xing pressed down on his knee in the middle, a crisp sound suddenly rang out. His spine has already been brutally broken. The figure of the cyborg lingered in a twisted and bizarre pose. Only the fingers are still trembling slightly. Aha took care of one. A teasing expression appeared on his face, as if admiring a toy made by one's own hands. Daihu raised his foot and kicked over the card table in front of him, rammed into another cyborg forcefully. The heavy poker table carries a strong energy. He slammed almost half of his body hard against the wall. He was still flailing his arms in struggle without feeling any pain. The body pressed against the wall could no longer move an inch. I never expected my mind transformer so quickly resolved. The man in the red suit stood there with a helpless smile, as if resigned to fate. The gecko revealed the will of the empowered. I need to go up and put it on him. It's not over yet. At that moment, Malm quietly came up behind. With a smiling face, she gently looked at Lu Xing. This made Lu Xing immediately alert. Hastily stopped the gecko from moving forward. Meanwhile, the cyborg with a damaged spine beneath my feet. A subtle beeping sound suddenly emitted from within, borrowing my sister's spider-like abilities. I saw a small bomb on his abdomen flashing red light. The gecko also looked surprised. Damned, anxiously urging Lu Xing to retreat quickly. But Lu Xing's next move left the gecko even more shocked. He had no intention of running away. Instead, he squatted down and pressed hard on the modified person beneath him. At the moment of being touched by Lu Xing, the body of the transformed person twisted into an unnatural posture. Whether it's limbs or the head, it's just like pointing at someone. In an instant, someone crushed me with brute force. Lu Xing finally stood up, kicked the transformed being in front of me, like a rolling football. The bomb in the abdomen was wrapped in the very center. With a loud bang, the bomb, laden with flesh and blood, suddenly exploded in mid-air. Because I was wrapped up tightly, the power that was unleashed has weakened significantly. The entire room instantly turned into a mess. The two bunny girls screamed in fright. The cleanliness-loving mother covered her mouth with a handkerchief, worried about getting blood on the clothes. Quietly left the room in the moment of the explosion. The man in the red suit took advantage of the chaos from the explosion. The broken window allowed me to escape outside. What kind of mental strength must this be? Can instantly fold the opponent, withstand the majority of the explosion's force. The red spider gecko watched the abilities displayed by Lu Xing. I couldn't help but feel a surge of astonishment. He quickly thought of another possibility. There might also be a bomb inside the transformed body. The dagger in hand swiftly shot out towards it. The heart's needle pierced into his abdomen. Stepping forward, he gripped the cold dagger and slashed it across his abdomen. There is indeed a bomb hidden inside. What puzzled the gecko was, this bomb shows no signs of detonating. Could it be because his spine wasn't injured? This move is specifically prepared for those who know how to deal with the weaknesses of the modified. The man who started by cursing loudly. The temper I once had is long gone, cornered by the scenes unfolding before me. Lu Xing looked at him with a hint of pity. It looks like 4 people are playing cards. In reality, it was 3 against 1. He must have lost quite a bit. Looking at the shattered window, the red suit has long since disappeared. The bomb in the cyborg's belly isn't very powerful. The goal is to create chaos to help him escape. Outside the game room, a group of people armed with various weapons approached with great momentum. The leader is the one who guided Lu Xing and the others into the formation. He reported to the sheriff on duty that someone was causing trouble here. The gecko here has also noticed that the noise is too loud. Led the armed forces on the battlefield over here. He first told Lu Xing not to rush into action. After all, those people have the nerve to shoot directly. Lu Xing's focus is not here. Because I found that my mother was no longer in the room. He had the gecko stay to communicate with the sheriff. Then he jumped out of the window to continue chasing the man in the red suit. I also want to remind Lu Xing that the other side may have 3 ability users, the gecko. But I haven't finished speaking yet. Lu Xing has long since vanished. He sighed helplessly. The little team leader is acting too quickly. Looking back at these 2 curvy figures. The rabbit queen curled up in the corner. A dark crowd armed with guns charged in, aiming at the gecko. Aha! Don't get too excited. Don't get too excited. I really don't want to kill you. The gecko hurriedly raised the gun and hand towards the doctor. Smiled at them gently. Lu Xing, shining through the window, quickly caught up to an intersection. See that person in the red suit quickly fleeing to the right, just as Lu Xing was about to chase to the right. But Mother's gaze was directed to the left. It's on the left. The one on the right is a distraction. Lu Xing immediately changed direction, quickly dashed towards the left intersection. Be careful. They are waiting for you. Mom still wore a smile, watching Lu Xing's figure as he walks away. Chased to a warehouse. Lu Xing discovered that the red suit was already well prepared. At that moment, he was riding a motorcycle, pressing the accelerator. Leave the expressionless cyborgs scattered in different locations. A multi-barreled rotary machine gun is aimed at the approaching Lu Xing. Never provoke this man. Don't even think about playing with him and safely escaping afterward. 3 able individuals of the Knight's Order. In Qingdao, nearly 10,000 innocent civilians were harmed. Afterward, they successfully evaded the pursuit of the city defense forces and retreated safely. Unbeknownst to them, they had provoked the most fearsome entity within Qingdao. That is the true monster. With my mother's guidance along the way, Lu Xing found one of the Knight's members in a red suit. Didn't expect the sly and cunning red suit. A bomb was implanted in the modified human body under control. Take advantage of the confusion caused by the explosion to escape through the broken window. But no matter how he tries to escape, it is of no use. Malm seems to see through everything, once again guiding the landing star to accurately lop onto his hiding place. He chased after his sister all the way to the outside of a warehouse. The moment I just stepped through the door, I saw the gun barrels around me spewing bright flames. Arrived even faster than expected in the red suit. He decisively shot at Lu Xing while controlling the cyborg. The highly lethal multi-barrel rotary machine gun spins rapidly. Bullets flew towards Lu Xing in a dense swarm. Ambushed at the Jiujiang intersection. I am fortunate to have my mother's protection. But this time he was well prepared in advance. He will never suffer the same loss a second time. The nearly perfect figure is almost impossible to see. He dodged every single bullet. Red suit sitting on the motorcycle, witnessing Lu Xing's bizarre and swift movements. It's clear this is a spider play. I knew this time I might not be able to escape calmly. He suddenly raised his hands and clutched his throat. A sinister smile spread across his face. Lu Xing, who was dodging bullets, suddenly lost control. clutching their own neck with both hands. This is the second ability of puppetry. Information I had seen before flashed quickly through my mind. The puppet show ability allows one to force others to mimic a specific action. The range of ability is between 5 to 10 meters. The maximum number of people affected can reach 3. Losing happened to jump and climb towards the ceiling. Once the hands lost control, the body began to fall. The multi-barrel rotary machine gun below kept firing at me relentlessly. Losing hurriedly called for his sister to come and help him untie it. If it's a gecko performing the same spider play, perhaps it really could end in death here. But Losing won't, because he has a younger sister. Haha, brother, I'm here to help you. Zio Kai grabs onto Losing, who is falling. The small hand swung forward with a push. With a whoosh, let Losing, who was falling in mid-air, suddenly flew forward and swung away, precisely landed next to a cyborg who was firing a gun, gently placing a hand on his shoulder. Younger sister quickly followed behind. The cyborg touched by Losing. The whole body suddenly crackled loudly, just like a twisted plastic bottle. The entire body twisted into a strange posture, tightly holding onto Jade, pointed to the other two companions. A burst of gunfire erupted. Losing, the controller of the reformers, maximized its accuracy directly. In an instant, it pierced through the spines of the other two modifiers. Please take the opportunity to deal with the 3 modified individuals. Watching Losing walking towards him, the man in the red suit on the motorcycle suddenly looked terrified. This is impossible. He severely underestimated the abilities of the man before him, witnessing the panic-stricken look of the man in the red suit. Losing's face was brimming with excitement. You can't always aim a gun at me. Damn it, damn it. Looking at Losing, who was approaching. The man in the red suit nervously twisted the throttle. But the car just won't start at this moment. He quickly abandoned the motorcycle, launched the invisible red thread and bounced upwards. But the body just soared into the air. Suddenly it felt as if everything was stuck. He looked down with a face full of fear. Losing appeared by his side without him realizing it. Tightly gripping his calf, he forcefully threw him down from mid-air. Aha, don't think you can escape. The red suit was heavily slammed onto the ground, as the popular suit prepared to escape using those invisible threads of spirit. Losing understood what he had witnessed, the spiritual threads invisible to ordinary people. In his eyes nothing can hide. On the cyborg that appeared near the orphanage before, he had witnessed such abilities. The spiritual thread can entangle the target object, achieve aerial movement within a certain distance. The man in the red suit felt an overwhelming tension. The 7 modified individuals prepared at the last minute have been exhausted. The other side always has a way to counter my escape methods. That is only. He quickly drew the gun hidden at his waist. Go die. He pulled the trigger hard, aiming at Losing's head. The bullet slid out of the narrow barrel. At such a close distance, there was almost no reaction to dodge. But it twisted at an extremely distorted and rapid angle. There was still a faint smile on his face. The bullet grazed past his head. Suddenly, I grabbed the arm holding the gun in the red suit. The arm twisted 360 degrees at a visible speed. Losing casually tossed it away. The entire arm of the person in the red suit was violently torn off. He curled up on the ground. The intense pain made him howl in agony. I don't know what the red suit did. The pain only lasted for a while. He stood up slowly, breathing heavily. The painful expression on the face gradually faded away. Gazing directly at Losing before him. You don't look like a spider performer. I remember the spider show wasn't this scary. You're not the only one who says that about me. What about the rest of you?" Lu Xing greeted him warmly and started chatting. "The red suit won't be closed either. They bluntly said they are not here. At the time of the psychological bomb experiment record failure, the boss felt something was off. For safety's sake, they decided to separate from me. The red suit wasn't quite in place either. Just want to take a break. Bury a few more people to supplement his purpose." But I didn't expect Lu Xing to arrive so soon. Lu Xing's gaze was fixed on him. "Continue to ask where the others in the red suit have escaped to." He even added a special note. "If you won't say it, I can also ask something else." The red suit did not respond, but instead took off the mask from their face and smashed it on the ground. He suddenly burst into a mocking laughter. "Aha, you underestimate my friend too much. Little did I expect that he, who was always ruthless to others, be so harsh on yourself as well." Lu Xing tore off one arm of the red suit. "Politely ask him about the whereabouts of the other companions." The red suit refused to reveal a single word. "Hanging out in the wilderness. Rules and promises are the most important. If one loses credibility and reputation, he will end up with a miserable result for both." He straightforwardly said he could control himself like a puppet. Even if Lu Xing were to dismember him into 8 pieces, he won't feel pain either. Not over yet. Malm gently reminded him with a smile. This made Lu Xing feel compelled to be cautious, because Malm can always perceive subtle details. As Lu Xing pondered where the problems still existed, the sudden noise coming from afar caught his attention. A group of armed people waved their flashlights. A gecko approached, pressing forward. No matter how much the gecko boasts about his status in Qingdao along the way, the security team showed no regard whatsoever, looking at the gecko's pitiable appearance with its hands on its head. Lu Xing had a look of helplessness. "What's going on with this vice captain? Why are they still being detained?" Sheriff as you strode towards Lu Xing. "Don't they know that gunfire is strictly prohibited in Heishui town? No matter where you come from, if you dare to cause trouble here, there will be no good outcome, based on the principle of discussing reason when possible." Lu Xing took out the Qingdao identification. "It indicates they are here to capture the wanted person behind." And he fired the first shot. Azu also glanced at the red suit behind Lu Xing. "When I saw his disheveled appearance, it is Qingdao in his Miao Black Water town. It's up to Snake Grandfather. When Snake Grandpa is not around, I call the shots. You want to catch someone. I don't know, just say a word to me. Raise the gun and aim it at Lu Xing's face." While scolding, they also asked someone to prepare to take away the red suit. Lu Xing also didn't expect that after revealing his identity from Qingdao, the other party's attitude is still so firm. Azu looked as if he wanted to keep the red suit. "If you keep threatening, I'll kill Lu Xing and the others. Throw it out to feed the dog. No one can do anything to them." At that moment, Malm walked over with great interest. He pointed his hand at Azu. Lu Xing instantly understood. "Now I understand why Malm just said it's not over yet." He looked at Azu with a joyful expression. "You are not normal. This person committed a crime in Qingdao. Now we have captured him. But you want to let him go privately, even at the expense of both of us. So you don't think much of Qingdao. Or are you actually not normal anymore?" The atmosphere on site suddenly became tense. Azu realized that his secret was about to be discovered. Immediately drew the gun and pointed it at Lu Xing's head. Lu Xingfei was not afraid at all. Instead, I felt a slight fondness. Now Malm and my little sister are by my side. There was confidence at the moment Azu pulled the trigger. "Just break him down." He asked Azu, "Have you received anything in a red suit?" For example, a rose. Then she began to feel a special fondness for him, even love him very much. From Azu's reaction, Lu Xing further confirmed his suspicions. The red suit and the previous one in Qingdao City. The one who spreads the roses is a companion, so it's normal for him to have something similar to a rose. He should have arrived in the city by now, gave something to Azu, let her develop more and more affection for him. This kind of affection will make Azu fiercely protect him. This is also his last trump card. Everyone around felt it was absurd. How could one's own sheriff possibly fall in love with someone? Azu immediately cursed and told Lu Xing to avoid women, but a hint of lust appeared on their face. He is least influenced by others, but continuously obstructing the output. Let Lu Xing's smile gradually fade away. What replaces it is a subtle displeasure. The wall lizard, with a bad premonition, immediately burst into laughter. Attract the attention of those present. If I, as the captain, truly raise my voice, that could lead to unimaginable consequences. No more pretending. I laid it all out. The gecko instantly shook off the two people holding it. At the same time, they snatched the guns from their hands. One hand intimidated every one else. One hand pointed at Azu. The joke ends here, whether you are being controlled by someone or not. But I still really love him. Please stop now, Azu. The unexpected scene startled everyone. But they, who have wandered the wilderness for years, did not show any signs of fear. Who are you trying to scare, you bastard? This is on our territory. You think these two broken guns can scare us all? The gecko listened and was filled with excitement. The moment to show off has arrived. Do you really think I only have two guns? A heavy iron destroyer. The moment he finished speaking, he crashed into the wall and charged forward. This car is equipped with Qingdao City, latest development in autonomous driving and defense systems. He came to a steady stop in front of the security team. The multiple barreled machine guns on the vehicle all pointed at them. In an instant, everyone held their breath. Brother, men only affect the speed at which you draw your gun. The gecko casually snatched a trumpet. We are the Qingdao City Special Task Force, ordered to leave the city to capture a wanted criminal. The Special Operations Squad is just outside your town. 100,000 class super distance plasma missile. I have already set my sights on your little town. If you don't want to witness a brilliant firework display before death, they need to quickly let someone in charge come out to speak. With the spread of the loudspeaker, modified cars drive in from different locations. The front door suddenly opened. A pair of legs in red high heels slowly descended, holding a lazy Juhu cat in my arms. Everyone was startled by the person who got out of the car, because the woman in front of me is slim yet curvy. He is the boss of Heishui town. Who would have thought in this chaotic Blackwater town? The infamous leader Snake Eye is actually a woman. Yet there is a leader with such a slender and curvaceous figure. But the deputy officer Azu unexpectedly fell in love with a man. Lu Xing speculated that Azu must have received something from this man. Only then will it be affected. Crazy Azu before love. After Lu Xing confirmed Qingdao's identity, still trying hard to stop him from arresting the one in the red suit. As the vice captain, the gecko can no longer pretend. The Qingdao Task Force's super heavy missile has locked onto Heishui town. If you don't want this place to be turned into ruins, just because he meows, you all can step up and speak. I have to say, this remark truly stunned everyone present. The behind-the-scenes boss of the town, Snake Eyes, who knows everything that's happening. At this moment, they also arrived at the scene. He ordered his subordinates to put down their guns. Qingdao is not our enemy. Of course, we are not enemies of Qingdao either." A lazy voice yet filled with authority. The security team members immediately put down their guns after listening. The gecko quickly turned its head and scanned him from head to toe. Clearly, he didn't expect that the Snake Eyes was a woman, but still smiled and greeted him. "If you want to come in and catch someone, just let us know. Why do we need to make such a big fuss?" The snake's eye seemed devoid of malice. The tone revealed a hint of complaint. Lu Xing took a deep breath. "And I sincerely explain why I didn't greet the snake eye first. It's worrying about startling the snake by hitting the grass. He will follow the rules of Heishui Town. The gecko fired 2 shots earlier. 1 shot, a fine of 1,000. They will pay in full. But being cautious this time was right." Lu Xing told Shi Yan about the problem he had just discovered. "One of your subordinates is now under a special influence. We'll spare no effort to protect the person we need to capture." Snake Eyes, "Don't trust Shane. He is talking nonsense." Before Lu Xing could finish speaking, Azu jumped out in a panic. Shay did not pay him any attention, but rather curiously asked what impact it had received. "He loves him." Lu Xing spoke directly. At the same time, he pointed at Azu and the red suit. "He likes this tomb." "How would I know?" Shayan was a bit surprised, shooting back and forth between Azu and the man in the red suit. Suddenly became very interested. "I want to test the truth." He glanced at the mournful Bio beside him. Sang Bio immediately understood, immediately drew a shotgun, pointed at the head in the red suit. This scene scared Aju to death, because he believes Sang Bio is truly willing to shoot. He frantically pleaded with the Snake's Eyes. "Che, I beg you, for the sake of all the years I've served you, let him go." Seeing Azu like this, Che couldn't help but chuckle. "I didn't know there were such fun things." He asked Lu Xing to wait until he clarified things. "Can you return the red suit to Qingdao?" Lu Xing politely declined his request. Then they also showed enough respect to Shi Yan. A serious explanation is for safety's sake. Before certain things are confirmed, he must not be allowed to contact anyone. So what did he actually do wrong? "You can always talk to me, right?" Lu Xing also said that it cannot be disclosed casually. They have signed a confidentiality agreement. I hope Shane can understand their feelings. Everyone speaks reason. Things will be much easier to handle." Shay didn't say anything, gently stroking the chrysanthemum cat in my arms. But it can be seen that he is starting to feel a bit unhappy at this moment. Lu Xing's gaze turned to the chrysanthemum cat in his arms. Ju Mayo was also opening her eyes to observe Lu Xing. Suddenly he felt a chill run through him, struggling to rise directly from the snake's eye. It seems to have been stimulated by something. The claw directly tore into the arm of the snake's eye. The person beside seemed to sense the presence of danger. They all drew their guns at Lu Xing and Ju Mao. The atmosphere on site suddenly became tense. "It's okay." The serpent's eyes watched the claw marks on the arm oozing blood. The expression remained unchanged. He opened his pouty lips and extended his soft tongue, licking the wound slowly. Lion Hugh's gecko also sensed something unusual, reacted quickly. The serpent's eyes truly do not show our understanding of emotions. There is a gray top above. Seeing the gecko pull out the Special Operations Department's credentials, Chi Yan suddenly looked serious. "Is it worth running so far to catch someone? He is definitely in for a harsh scolding." Che's attitude began to change. The tone became much gentler. The attendant first tied up Azu. Pitiful Azu, still shedding tears, constantly pleading for Hong Zizhuang. This scene couldn't help but make those around feel amused. It's just like they are trying to break up a couple. Speaking of which, we of Heishui Town and Kinggang City are also one family, relying entirely on Kinggang's grain. Only together can we survive the winter. It's all thanks to Kinggang's wine. Only then can we live like real people." Shayan's words eased the atmosphere on sight significantly. He wanted to start a casual conversation. I apologized to Luxon for what happened today. After all, there are many people under my command. There are many who don't understand. Look at this bastard named Azu, always staring at my backside, who knows that he actually likes this style, watching the two of them being polite to each other. The subordinates were all confused. When did our Lear become so generous? Under Sister Snake's enthusiastic desire to help, Luxon borrowed the warehouse from him. He needs to ask about something at Honksy Manor. I understand this is an interrogation. Sister She thoughtfully wanted to bring various torture instruments. Luzin hurriedly declined. "Can you waive our fine?" "I am already very grateful." Sister She listened attentively. "Is this the main point? And it seems I haven't mentioned the fine either." Carrying the red West Village, the two arrived at the warehouse. Peng Zizhuang spoke first. Let Luzin not waste her efforts. "I can make myself not feel pain. No punishment is of any use to me. Even dream manipulating or hypnotic ability users would be useless here." Luzin first slowly raised the rolling door of the warehouse. A gentle voice softly spoke. "It's all right now. I don't plan to put my heart into this for you. So how do you plan to do it? Interrogate me. Honksy Village also doesn't know why." I unexpectedly felt a bit nervous. Luzin stood there motionless. "I am just an ordinary office worker. Where did you learn interrogation? I hope you say it first, because what you say is complete enough." She gently called out charm. A faint sound of laughter suddenly echoed in the dark warehouse. Peng Zizhuang suddenly felt a chill run down their spine. It felt like a cold little hand was caressing me. The excited eyes of her childhood behind her were already shining brightly. "Oh, let's get started, because it can make you feel no pain. Even if it's an interrogation," she expressed that everything is just in vain. But when she looked at the motionless Luzin in front of her, I couldn't help but feel an inexplicable tension inside. In the dark warehouse, Peng Zizhuang suddenly felt. A cold little hand is stroking itself. An indescribable panic. In an instant it exploded in her mind. "Little brother, I don't know how to address you." The snake waiting outside lights up an expired cigar. Started a conversation with a gecko. "My name is Yang-san. He is called Lai Si." The gecko smiled as it took the cigar that was brought over. They did not reveal their real names to the snake either. When taking a puff, the gecko was startled by a delicious-sounding cough. Yet the snake elegantly swallows the clouds and exhales. This represents things from before the catastrophe. Re-examined. "Are you all feeling confident today? No matter the situation, I can handle this weak woman." The snake was also amazed as the gecko was pointed at by so many guns. Not even blinking. The gecko did not hide this issue. He only has half the confidence. It still depends on being close by. He is a true man. The gaze unconsciously lingered here at the serpent. After a brief stop, he pointed to the warehouse behind him. "If it were our little team leader, I should do more than just clean you up. It might be to take care of every one." He cannot tolerate others not being reasonable with him. Sang Bayo then asked about the events concerning Azu. It turns out that Azu received a gold bar in a red suit. Then I sent a letter, again buying people for him. Again helped him to dissect those people. Always believed she had found true love. This person's methods are quite frightening, but the two of you are obviously much better at catching him. People like you. It must be particularly valued in Qingdao. Ask about this." The gecko beamed with pride. "Honestly speak about his privileges in Qingdao. The privilege of conveniently taking care of the young lady's business without getting caught. But this is just one of them." He shared his feelings about staying in the city with Snake Yi. "That is how life should truly be. Grandpa Snake, it's really lively here. But there's one thing that's not good. It's just a bit crazy. This is in the warehouse behind us." Suddenly remembered the heartbreaking scream of the person in the red suit. The cry was so loud. It instantly gives you goosebumps. I can't imagine what kind of torture it is. Only then can a person let out such a tragic scream. That voice contained pain and fear. Shock and fear. It even created an indescribable sense of battle. Until the call of the season, Lu Xing opened the roller door of the warehouse and walked out slowly. Her face still wore an expression of shock. The gecko stared in surprise. What is he afraid of? Startled by the screams. Wasn't that scream from the red suit his doing? Everything has been asked. We need to leave quickly. No time to return the red suit to Qingdao. Lu Xing asked Snake Grandpa if he could be locked up here first. Someone will come from Qingdao to take him back. Only then did Snake Grandpa regain his composure from the earlier fright. "Lie Si, little brother, do you trust me?" Lu Xing did not understand why he called himself Lie Si, but still nodded in agreement, looking at the undamaged red suit in the warehouse. "But the whole person is just standing." Snake Master licked his lips. "Little brother believes I am a good thing, but this person isn't quite normal, right? I can keep him locked up. Monster, monster. All of them. All are monsters." The man in the red suit noticed someone looking at him. Suddenly, they screamed hysterically. The gaze revealed a deep fear. The people around him looked at him in his current state, feeling inexplicably heavy, but Lu Xing reassured everyone not to worry. "He is doing fine now." The two then drove away from Heishui town. Lu Xing kept praising Snake Grandpa. Not only generous but also reasonable. "Why do you praise Snake Grandpa so much?" "Just because he gave you a motorcycle." The gecko constantly immersed in fear. Finally, I couldn't hold back any longer and spoke up. "Not just that. Shen Yi not only gave us everything valuable from the red suit. The fine for shooting in town has also been waived. Also helps us refuel for free, delivering food and local specialties again." There was one thing that both of them felt regretful about in unison. "It's just due to regulations. Can't leave a number for Snake Master." I finally saw the gecko speak. Lu Xing had a heartfelt conversation with him, thinking it was when I was in Heishui town. Commanded in the capacity of captain. Made him a bit unhappy. After all, this is the first colleague of the same level I met in the Special Operations Department. They are also the teammates I have collaborated with the most. Lu Xing said he really considers the gecko a friend. The gecko was so excited after listening. "Brother, you really talk too much. We are not friends. That is a brother. It seems like something has come to mind." He carefully asked Lu Xing, "The matter of us becoming friends. Do you mind uncle, aunt, and little sister?" Lu Xing instinctively looked at his mother in the back seat, who was busy with her makeup. But Mon just kindly reminded him, "Making friends is important. Instead, I can't really tell him everything. Otherwise, it will become even more estranged." Lu Xing asked the gecko what was discovered during the interrogation in Heishui town. "Why are you in such a hurry to set off?" He took out a small notebook. "Tell everything learned from the interrogation to the gecko. Hongxi village was originally named Chen Chu. The details are so thorough that even the number of women in Honxi village is questioned. 3 years ago, he caught the eye of Qin Ran. From him, I learned that Qin Ran's real name is Zhang Sihu. After a confrontation, Qin Ran did not kill him. Instead, they invited him to join the Knight's Order. Qin Ran is the captain, responsible for accepting commissioned tasks. Every time I receive a commission, Qin Ran will contact them to find a place to gather. This time they went to Qingdao. It's all about snatching the girl back, and also the emotional pollution bomb that detonates the crying little boy. Record the data. Hand it over to the organization that sells bombs. Their team has 3 ability users, with 4 experienced mercenaries. Roseflower pollution incident. It was created by a member called Datu Gui. They had an agreement. They do not actively inquire about each other's abilities. But for Qin Ran, he only mentioned one word: untillable, immortal. The gecko listened and was also taken aback. Could it be that Qin Ran is really like they speculated internally? Will be reborn. Battle among the capable. It is inherently a very dangerous matter, especially when facing those with unknown abilities. Qi Lu Xing's face gradually revealed a smile, because he inquired about Qin Ran's whereabouts. Trapped near the old building, Jane was gulping down strong liquor to suppress the unprecedented expectation within my heart. Once the most powerful ultimate. He possesses the strongest pollution ability. Finally, the opportunity for release has arrived. And this opportunity is about to arrive. Because Lu Xing heard from Hong Zaijuing, I found Qin Ran's hiding place. At the end of Highway 85, a place called Happy Town. Hearing this name, the gecko hurriedly slammed on the brakes in fear. The speeding off-road vehicle suddenly came to a halt. The time when I climbed onto the roof of the car. Once again I was spun out. He looked tense and trembling. I confirmed once again with Lu Xing in disbelief. What the gecko doesn't know is his childhood on the car hood. Jang bared his teeth at him fiercely. He hurriedly took out the map, pointing to an area marked with skulls. This refers to the area of Happy Town. The skull marked on the map. It signifies that this place is not safe to approach. Otherwise, there will be surprises without regrets. Although Qingdao City has currently surrounded major factions and abandoned cities, we've explored just about everything. But there are still some very mysterious areas. To this day, they still know nothing about it. This place is called the Mysterious Forbidden Zone. Once you enter the restricted area, you'll either be shut down, either it disappears. This happy little town, it can be said to be the most dangerous one. It really sounds like a great place for travel. Do you agree? After Mother listened to the gecko's words, smiling, he looked back at his childhood, the early days of climbing into the car, nodding vigorously with excitement, already cast aside the unhappiness from earlier. Seeing that the family has all expressed their opinions, Lu Xingyan, calm and breezy, let the gecko set off directly. Whether it's a forbidden zone or not, people still need to be brought back. The gecko really doesn't want to go. That unknown and terrifying place. But he had no room to refuse. I didn't dare to refuse. He reported the latest situation to headquarters. The main culprit behind the Qingdao City riot, Qin Ran, most likely hiding in Happy Town. The Special Task Force member suggested a solo operation. Enter Happy Town to continue the investigation. After the report, the gecko looked dejected. He handed Lu Xing a tablet. I originally hoped that the headquarters would strongly advise against their entry. But wishes go unfulfilled. The headquarters actually agree. They have also received the currently known information. It's also good to explore these mysterious areas on the side. Bringing back the records can also be considered a mission. Just like that, the gecko reluctantly drove towards Happy Town. Lu Xing sat in the car, looking at the few materials that came through on the tablet. His class mysterious forbidden zone Happy Town. Approaching this area may cause dizziness, irritated, coma, hallucination, reactions such as limb spasms. Deep mental stance 50 meters. Will be unable to return, and disappeared from the sight of all the witnesses. Sliding the screen, he saw a photo. They are residents of Happy Town. Their dull expressions always carried a smile. The data indicates that the town was first discovered to have anomalies 10 years ago. This place is isolated from the city and rarely interacts with people. But occasionally, some residents go out, exchanging food for some daily necessities with people outside. Someone once detained and interrogated them while the residents were away. But that night, residents of Happy Town and the interrogators, along with the interrogation report, at the same time, it vanished like a ghost without a trace. The road to Happy Town turned out to be surprisingly smooth. They quickly arrived at a place just 10 kilometers away from Happy Town. Since it was already dark and after a long day of travel, they did not continue to set off, decide to take a break for the night. Watching the gecko check the gun in his hand back and forth, Lu Xing knew he was under a lot of pressure. She smiled and reassured him not to be afraid. He can go and bite himself then. I will signal the gecko once I finish. Brother, you can see that I've become timid. The gecko, exposed for its inner fragility, directly reveals its true self. Timid. Before the ability appeared. Brother, I'm just a small-time thug. The kind that gets beaten up every day. Don't be fooled by how carefree I look now. That was all just an act I put on. But what are we all doing out here together? How can you not even bear a bit of responsibility? This time, no matter what monsters or ghosts are inside. I'll accompany you in and take a look around. Anyway, I brought a lot of special bullets. Afraid of his bird, the sincerity of the gecko made Lu Xing feel a bit. However, he decided to let the gecko keep watch outside. You'd better not go into this town. Too dangerous. He got up and looked towards the direction of Kingen. The moonlight of Xinghong enveloped the entire old building. Lu Xing seemed to be able to see the surroundings inside the house. Filled with anticipation, brewing a certain power. After all, Lu Xing had already promised him. The danger I speak of, it's not just Happy Town, but it's me. He spoke honestly to the gecko. If Happy Town is very dangerous, then I might be even more dangerous. It was his own idea to rescue Qin Ran and the others back to Kinging. It's not a gecko. So Lu Xing didn't want to involve him. Otherwise, something bad will really happen. He also feels quite guilty. The night has passed. The gecko has prepared the supplies for Lu Xing. The car becomes harder to drive as it moves forward. You can only enter by walking through the small path. Lu Xing greeted the gecko. Bayan got off the bus with his backpack. Mom and younger sister followed him down as well. Lu Xing looks like he's going on a picnic. The gecko couldn't help but marvel at his bravery. The path was shrouded in mist. The visibility is getting lower. Faintly in between, the gecko seems to have noticed Lu Xing's presence. Unexpectedly, there were two shadows, one tall and one short. Could it really be his family? Isn't there still one? The gecko was suddenly filled with fear. Subconsciously turned to look at the empty carriage. Uncle and they have all passed away. Aren't you going? Lu Cheng is further away than Luxing imagined. I found that Mom disappeared after walking for a while, thinking that he probably had difficulty walking in high heels. At that moment, Zio Kai suddenly pointed in the distance and told his brother to take a look. I looked up in the direction my sister pointed. A sudden feeling of dizziness and disorientation arose. It feels like watching a picture on an old television. Flashes of various snowflakes and phantoms intermittently appeared. This place. Abnormal. This is classified as an S-level mysterious forbidden zone. A place called Happy Town. The faces of the residents are always adorned with happy smiles. Losing just approached the small town. The vision suddenly became blurry. The brain feels like it has been impacted by something. He composed himself. The feeling of headache gradually faded away. Everything before me began to become clear. I have already found myself in a field, sensing that trouble might be ahead. After all, the other side still has two ability users left. Moreover, Happy Town itself can be somewhat dangerous. Does younger sister fear him? I promised my father before coming out this time. We need to let him out to help. Yan Yan must become a toy when he grows up. Every day I hit him. I have never been afraid of him. Ignoring Lu Xing's confusion. The child in my arms pointed ahead. Brother, we have arrived. What puzzled Lu Xing was. It was clearly morning when I parted ways with the gecko. But now, Han Yu is already angry. Did I really walk all day? They walked along the road to a flower field. He noted down what he saw in a small notebook. The details of how wonderful it is to grow seedlings in the farmland. After all, the headquarters said so. This exploration is considered an extra mission. Since it's a task, there will be a reward. So remember this. All the gazes in the flower field suddenly turned towards him. Looking at the friendly smiles on their faces, Lu Xing couldn't help but sigh. They are truly a hard-working group of people. It's so late and you're still working. He walked towards the girl closest to him, politely greeted her, then took out a photo of Qin Ran. I want to inquire about Qin Ran's whereabouts. But the girl remained still, smiling at Lu Xing. It seems we need to offer some benefits. So he reached into his pocket. I will report the expenses to headquarters later. Can you tell me like this? He saw the girl reach out to take the 50 yuan he handed over. Lu Xing was quietly waiting for her response. The girl clenched the banknotes in her hand, did not answer his question, still looking at Lu Xing with a kind smile. If you don't want to say it, then forget it. Lu Xing is ready to get his money back. It can be seen that the girl has no intention of letting go, still tightly clutching that 50 yuan. This made Lu Xing a bit angry. But I'm afraid that pulling too hard will tear the money. The younger sister couldn't bear to watch. Also came over to help brother break the girl's fingers one by one during childhood. The 50 yuan finally returned to Lu Xing's pocket. Since he is unwilling to speak, Lu Xing can only go find it by himself. But that girl seems to be starting to act a bit strangely, silently watching Lu Xing walk into the town. Just entered the town. What appeared before me were rows of connected houses. The scale is very large. It feels like it could accommodate tens of thousands of people. But it was unusually quiet. Lu Xing grasped the doorknob of one of the doors. I want to take a look. Thinking about Kingren and them. It should be hidden in one of these houses. Just as I was about to open the door, suddenly a cracking sound came from behind. Looking back, I discovered Mom taking out the knife from her waist bag. Unknowingly appeared beside me. She smiled as she explained to Lu Xing. Just now, you almost got something dirty on you. What a nice little town! Not only peaceful, both the flowers and the house are nice. In that chaotic Blackwater town, this is simply like paradise. Lu Xing also agrees with his mother's statement. The people here are very friendly. As soon as the words fell, Then I heard the sound of giggling not far away. Turn around and take a closer look. A dense crowd is hiding in the shadows, holding various weapons, staring intently at her. This surprised Lu Xingdan. How did they suddenly become like this? Just now they were still very polite. It has nothing to do with me. For this issue, Malm just shrugged her shoulders, recalling that there should have been something just now. Almost got it on her. After being cut off by Mom, these people became hostile towards her. Fortunately, they don't seem to rush up immediately. Lu Xing still felt it was urgent to find Qin Ran. But the people here don't talk. We can only search one room at a time. Seeing Lu Xing with no clue at all, Mom smiled and said, "When you two siblings were robbing someone else's girl of her money, I have already arrived in the town. It seems that not all the rooms were checked just now. There's no light anymore." Mother's words instantly gave Lu Xing direction. The residents of the town are accustomed to living in darkness. But Qin Ran and the others did not have this habit. He hurriedly asked his mother which room had the light on. "It seems to be there. Mom only looks in one direction." He also couldn't see clearly. "I was too busy admiring those beautiful flowers. This time there are so many ill-intentioned people. Sister, you didn't even ask to play with the toys." I followed the direction my mother pointed and walked on. The shadows following me are gathering more and more, looking at my brother with a strange gaze. Sayo Kai pouted. They disdainfully said they were already toys, things that have been played with by others. He doesn't want that. Mom stopped in her tracks. He only vaguely remembers being in this position. Which one is it specifically? I really don't remember. Then picked up the scissors again. Then it gently cut again behind Lu Xing. "Do you smell something fragrant?" Lu Xing suddenly sniffed his nose. "It seems like I smelled something familiar. It's a meat shrimp." In an instant, I recalled the first time I met Qin Ran. He always looks like he can never be full. It seems it should be around here, since I can't be sure which one. Lu Xing worried they would take advantage of the chaos to escape. Moreover, those residents also seemed unable to hold back any longer. A little boy emerged from the crowd, running towards the landing star. "Uncle eats breakfast." The little boy stretched out his hand holding the sour jujube. Looking at the little boy's sincere face, Lu Xing did not refuse. Handed the sour jujubes back to Zhao Shikai, because he suddenly thought of how to find Qin Ran among so many houses. The pines and cypresses on the hillside are easy to catch fire. Let's go get some to decorate this whole room. This way, we don't have to open each door one by one to search. The people inside will come out on their own." Just as Lu Xing was about to take action, a voice came from the room. "You can't really be serious about doing this, right?" The person opening the door is exactly the Qin Ran he has been looking for. Facing this unknown and indestructible ability user, what will Lu Xing do? Old Long's father was already restless. Maybe it's time to let him out. Crossing over 1,000 miles. Finally, I met Qin Ran, whom I had been searching for days, in Happy Town. I didn't expect Lu Xing to find his way here. It can be inferred that Chen Chong has already fallen into his hands. Regarding Qin Ran's understanding of Chen Chong, he can't possibly confess so quickly. He is not afraid of pain. Moreover, they had made an agreement before. Even if captured by the enemy, I must hold out for 3 days before revealing anything. So Qin Ran was very curious. What exactly did Lu Xing do to him? Strictly speaking, I didn't do anything to him. He took the initiative to confess. So many people were killed in Qingdao. You should consider that we will come over. Qin Ran was a bit surprised after hearing that. I thought the value of that painting had been discovered. It's chasing so closely. I didn't expect it was for the people who died in Qingdao." He couldn't help but burst into laughter, expressing what he really thinks to Lu Xing. As a capable individual, for ordinary people, we exist like gods. What are a few lives worth? Under the red moon is our world. We can do whatever we want. Lu Xing looked at him as if he were a lunatic. It's more than just a few lives. Those are living people. Even if there is, you wouldn't be like this. So you are at most just a madman." He walked forward step by step. At this moment, my mother behind me also. "Remind Lu Xing to be careful." Qin Ran's laughter suddenly fell silent. Cold eyes fixed on the approaching Lu Xing. A sudden blaze erupted in the room behind. The deafening gunfire followed closely. The first-class bullet blocked Lu Xing's advance. At this moment, if we retreat to avoid these bullets, Qin Ran will just run away. But Qin Ran was right there, calm and still. He doesn't want to back down. "Go ahead. Go do what you want to do," a gentle voice whispered in Lu Xing's ear. Mom quietly approached, shielded him from the torrential barrage of bullets. Bullets hit him one after another, but mother still has her gentle gaze. Even revealed a somewhat excited expression. Lu Xing swiftly pounced on Qin Ran, who was about to escape. Regarding Qin Ran's abilities, the information is all unknown, although Lu Xing didn't know how to destroy Qin Ran. But first to deal with the transformers. Break his spine. Definitely no harm. Qin Ran suddenly turned and shot, but Lu Xing dodged in a strange and twisted manner. The bullet cleverly grazed past him. Qin Ran immediately showed a look of surprise. He knew all too well that once the spider got close, there was no possibility of negotiating with oneself at all. Lu Xing's 5 fingers had already reached out. Originally, it was meant to grab his spine, since he suddenly turned around. Then just take out the heart directly. A soft hum. His palm plunged directly into Qin Ran's chest. Lu Xing tightly held onto it, feeling the warm surge in my palm, then suddenly pulled out forcefully. Under the cover of moonlight, this beating heart appears exceptionally stunning. Qin Ran with his heart ripped out. Yet there was not a word of pain. Instead, a smile appeared on their face. Behind me, I could hear my mom's gentle sigh. Lu Xing finally realized something. Oh no, accidentally dealt a fatal blow. He hurriedly stuffed the heart back in, thinking to myself, "It's good that I didn't pinch it thin. It should still be usable, right?" Reflecting on the previous incident of urging prosperity. Everything started with the murder of Qin Ran. Huey Wan killed Qin Ran. Huey Wan became Qin Ran. Then countless people appeared seeking revenge on him. So what will happen this time? Qin Ran, who had fallen to the ground, was already dead. At this moment, changes began to occur in his body. A tree rapidly grew out from his body, continuously reaching upward. Each tree trunk generates a vine, like a living being. Lu Xing silently exclaimed that it was bad, quickly withdrew and stepped back. The vines in the high sky swayed at that moment, otherwise charged towards Lu Xing's position. Not right. His target is not me. Lu Xing realized something was wrong. Hastily tore away the vines blocking the side. But it's still too late. The target of the vine is the townspeople. Only the resident who was entangled could be seen. The smile that was once present began to change. The pupils began to take on a fierce look, stared intently at Lu Xing. "Jiang Situo, you dare to harm me?" He shouted Qin Ran's real name, charging at Lu Xing with a scythe in hand. In his eyes, Lu Xing had become Qin Ran, recalling the previous boosting events. Lu Xing realized he couldn't kill this resident. If you kill one, then there will be two more, continuously increasing. Things do not go as planned. Lu Xing won't kill him. He instead brought the sickle to his throat. Still shouting with hatred in their mouths, Jiang Sehuo, I must kill you. Even if I die, I must kill you too. Self-destruction. This scene feels strangely familiar, like those who were locked in the basement at that time. Upon realizing that revenge was futile, they began to attack each other, completed the steps of revenge and being killed. The next phase has begun. The residents of this small town. It's because I feel I can't kill Lu Xing. So they chose to commit suicide directly. Completed this step. The tree of Qin Ran. Once again, a second vine sprouted. Lu Xing managed to intercept it. But the severed vine still possesses vitality. Continue to fly forward, ultimately entangled with the two residents. Same as the first one. Their expressions began to change. These residents are so foolish that they give Lu Xing a headache. Even with so much happening around us, they still foolishly gather here. This has completely become Qin Ran's nourishment. Did Qin Ran choose to hide here? It is precisely because the townspeople have this characteristic. How to interrupt this process? As Lu Xing wanted to directly tear apart Qin Ran's corpse. But Mom didn't mind. Tearing it apart now will only result in two contaminated pieces. Instead, it will help accelerate its spread. The excited eyes of childhood shone brightly, urging my older brother to come ashore quickly. And that tree was growing at a crazy speed. The number of polluted residents is increasing. This time, the speed of revenge is even faster than the Tuiwang incident. Almost no time to meet. The situation left Lu Xing feeling perplexed. If I can't tear apart Qin Ran, then let father come over to resolve it directly. The moment the entire body was cursed with a life-threatening spell, Lu Xing finally made a decision. The door of the old building in Qingdao suddenly slammed shut. That man has been released. At first, Lu Xing felt that this moment, it is not suitable to let father out. He knew well his father's temper. I won't endure the pursuit of these avengers. They will be resolved quickly. Instead, it directly ramped up Qin Ran's pollution ability. In some ways, father and Qin Ran are simply a perfect match. Soon, the entire town will be contaminated. I also thought about having my sister cut down that tree directly. But this time, Qin Ran is different from last time. Worried that my younger sister might not digest it well, Lu Xing dodged the residents seeking revenge against him. While analyzing Qin Ran's abilities, Qin Ran just needs to be killed. It will turn into a polluter, contaminating those around, and make them a part of themselves. But why would those who were polluted seek revenge on Qin Ran? There is still more. Why has Qin Ran's pollution speed increased this time? Seeing Lu Xing's troubled and contemplative expression, Mom's gentle voice sounded from behind him. Why must it be understood as his ability? Why can't it be the price he pays? That's right. After Qin Ran became a pollution person, will devour the spirits of those around. Make it a part of yourself. But these polluted people, there is immense hatred towards Qin Ran. They want to kill Qin Ran. This is the price Qin Ran has to pay for polluting others. Mother's words. Lu Xing's mind suddenly became clear, and Qin Ran turned their hatred towards him. It was transferred onto Lu Xing. The residents took Lu Xing for Qin Ran. Only then will I seek revenge on him. The tree absorbed more and more spiritual energy. The vine began to grow one humanoid fruit after another. It's like a curse. How Qin Ran transferred her hatred onto herself. Lu Xing dodged all the way. I came to my mother's side, found it. Mom seems to have found something in Lu Xing. With a sap, a sharp pain surged from my back. It seems that Qin Ran is just like this. Let these townsfolk hate you. Lu Xing looked down at the scene where his mother had thrown something out. It was indeed a face that resembled Qin Ran. He unknowingly grew on Lu Xing. I saw the piece of flesh that had fallen on the ground. All the avengers rushed forward. They were like evil spirits. It will turn into Qin Ran. It's good to have family support. The avengers suddenly stopped all their actions. The expression began to turn vacant. It's equivalent to completing the revenge. The resentment also fades away. The pollution has ended. It seemed like something was emerging on the trunk of the tree. Zio Shikai also seemed to have noticed something. Ran to the side. Running fast. I felt such rapid growth for the first time. That tree outlines Qin Ran's face, staring intensely at Lu Xing. His growth rate depends on the cursed target. The higher the mental capacity of the cursed person, his growth rate is accelerating. I just finished the pollution of the 5th group so quickly. You are very special. I didn't expect it at the last moment. The escape from the lab task was unexpectedly completed. The escaping laboratory. Lu Xing suddenly looked up at Qin Ran. This name gave him a strange feeling. It must come to an end. Mother heard this name and the expression suddenly turned cold, looking at the face that is about to disappear. Lu Xinglian stood up suddenly, though there are some doubts. But the first priority is to deal with Qin Ran. Each abilitied system has 3 types of abilities. If Qin Ran's curse and the contamination of the human form fruit technique, it is the transformation of his 2 abilities. Then what would his 3rd ability be? Do not harm him. The big-headed boy hiding in the room suddenly shouted at Lu Xing. His words made Lu Xing hesitate to refuse for a moment. Harbor thoughts of giving up the attack on Qin Ran. It seems you have accepted a gift that you shouldn't have. Seeing Lu Xing lost in thought, Qin Ran in the trunk revealed a sinister smile. Next second, a hand suddenly reached out, tightly grasped the neck of the face about to merge with the trunk. Sudden action took Qin Ran by surprise. Lu Xing stared at him with cold indifference. He indeed received a gift of sour jujubes, but he gave it to his sister to eat. Isn't that the person spreading red roses in Qingdao? As long as I take his things, so you will develop a favorable impression of him, right? My sister has already gone to see him. You may not know. What will his sister do with the things she likes? Younger sister, your ability should be spider play, right? Lu Xing's answer left that face somewhat inscrutable. It seems you don't know everything either. Lu Xing exerted his strength with 5 fingers. Qin Ran was forcibly pulled out from where he was blended into the tree trunk. This forced separation. Let him feel the pain of a broken rib kicking in the stomach. His vitality quickly faded, like a piece of wood withering away. Looking at the street, all the humanoid fruits on the tree suddenly opened their eyes wide. A Qin Ran has died. Countless Qin Ran came back to life on the tree. They both headed towards Lu Xingxin. Zio Shikai was not by his side at this time. This made Lu Xing's movements less agile, though he forcefully borrowed some of his sister's abilities to evade the fatal attack, but still couldn't completely hide. Every place that was touched bore the face of Qin Ran. All the Qin Ran on the tree suddenly burst into hearty laughter. The noisy sound deeply moved Lu Xing. Every additional face that grows. It felt as if my body had been stripped of some consciousness. The range of pollution and radiation is expanding. The residents of the small town were almost all affected. I am you. It's me. Give me you. Various loud noises assaulted Lu Xing's brain. It felt as if countless people were lying beside him. It seems like it's time. Mom felt a bit heartbroken looking at Lu Xing. At the same time, it blocked most of the attacks for him. Lu Xing did not object, looked up towards the direction of Qingdao. The door to room 401 opens automatically at this moment. The entire old building suddenly shook violently and exploded. A black shadow continued to expand beneath Lu Xing's feet. It's time to let him take a breather and relax. Lu Xing's massive figure suddenly exploded. A deep and powerful sound shook the entire happy town. Lu Xing borrows his father's abilities for the first time, a fear that strikes at the very soul. He was originally accustomed to being addressed with royal titles. Yet they have become prisoners, barely surviving in the darkness. Today finally brings a chance to breathe, an opportunity for unrestrained release. Facing the family gathered in Happy Town with Lu Xingqi, this will be their hell. The big-headed boy who returned to the room looked terrified. Witnessing my own sour jujube, successfully borrowed with the help of the little boy and sent it to Lu Xing. Everyone who has received his gift. It should be difficult to refuse his request. Unbeknownst to her, Lu Xing handed the sour jujubes to her younger sister. And he will pay the price for the gift he sent this time. The time of eating sour jujubes. Entering the room of the big-headed boy with love. "I really like you handsome." The big-headed boy suddenly looked up at the master. The faint sound of laughter lingers in the air. The nerves were taut to the extreme in that moment. The detector on him suddenly lit up brightly. A shrill warning sound echoed. Sudden changes. The thought of escaping became stronger, but just took a step forward. The body structure seems to have been distorted and lost its balance. He suddenly fell heavily to the ground. The distorted feeling is not an illusion. Instead, they are still in their real home. His limbs became completely disordered. Legs and hands. The hands are just as long as the feet. "Aha, you're so cute. Are you my toy now?" He, after being twisted. He saw a little girl behind him, reaching out to hug him. Gently stroke his head. The gentle singing is like soothing a child. "Little one, don't be afraid. Dad is about to come out. Don't be afraid. He's very fierce. I will protect the little doll. Then I'll kill you first. Don't be afraid. When there are many wounds, you no longer feel the pain." A chilling scream echoed through the room. His life came to an abrupt end with that sound. Countless lovers, filled with animosity towards each other, were born in the trees outside.